everybody, welcome back. It's Carolyn from Homesteading Family, and we've been talking about saving the crumbs to reduce our food waste in our house in order to save money and make our energy stretch further by being more efficient with our time. And we've been talking about saving our breadcrumbs and the little bits and tips and ends of all of the bread that comes back into the kitchen after it's been rejected on the plate, whether it's a little bit of pizza crust or it's the heel that nobody wanted to use for a sandwich. And today I'm going to show you how to make a basic kitchen staple right out of that. And this is going to blow your mind. This is so cheap when you do it this way, by making your own, because you're just using your scraps that would likely get thrown away anyways, and just a little bit of seasoning. And but it's also phenomenally better than the store-bought version, and that is making your own breadcrumbs. Now this is so simple, so quick to do. You can do it while you're cleaning up the kitchen or doing something else. It's a really fast and very easy. And again, you're gonna be blown away by how much better the flavor is. Now, you're gonna start with just a cookie sheet. And have you been saving your little bits and ends of your bread in a bag and then keeping them in the freezer until you're ready to use them? That's exactly what I've got here. Now, I've got little bits of that French bread loaf. I've got some heel of some sandwich bread. I've got just some regular sliced bread. I've got a few that it looks like maybe the baby took a few bites out of and then nobody else would claim it. So I've just got random assortment of bread. And the way to make this go really fast is to just quickly tear it up. You could chop it up too, just in big chunks, and try to get it, almost uniform in size. Don't spend too much time thinking about it, but the closer in size they're gonna be, the easier this project's gonna be. So we're just gonna spread that out on that cookie sheet. The cookie sheet is not greased or anything like that. And we're going to just pop this into a 350-degree oven in order to dry out the bread. Now, if you have a dehydrator and you wanna use that on a little bit slower method, you can do it that way too. Just put it on a dehydrator tray and turn it on until it's all the way dried out. And by all the way dried out, I mean it needs to be crispy all the way through. And remember, when something's warm, it's gonna be a lot softer than when it finally cools down. Okay, here we go. And I'm just gonna fill up this cookie sheet. And of course, you could do as much of this as you want or as little as you want. And I'm gonna get this right into that 350-degree oven, and it'll probably take about 15 minutes. You wanna watch it because you don't want it to start to get very dark or to burn or anything like that. So if you need to go in and just shake the tray every so often, then that's just fine. You may even need to turn over a piece or two if you notice one that's getting too brown. So I'm gonna get this into the oven and I'll be back as soon as it's nice and crispy. All right, now these chunks of bread have been in the oven for about 15 minutes. And the way that I'm gonna test to see if they are all the way done is to pull off some of the larger chunks and just break them in half. They should absolutely crisp and crunch. Now the middle of this one, this larger one, is still a little bit chewy. It's got some moisture left in it. So I'm gonna pop these guys back in for just another few minutes. That one was nice and crisp, so it's not gonna take very long. We're really close here. And I'm checking a few different ones. And again, that's a really nice crisp one. If you don't get them all the way crisp, you'll end up with something that's a lot less like breadcrumbs and a lot more like a lump of crunchy dough, which is not what you're looking for if you want to bread a chicken. All right, so these have been back in the oven for about 3 more minutes, and they are completely dry now. They are ready to go and turn into breadcrumbs, and nice and crispy. So the next step is going to be to season this and to break these chunks down into your breadcrumbs. Now today I'm gonna use a food processor because it's quick and easy and I have one. But if you didn't have a food processor, you could let these come down to room temperature, slide them inside a plastic Ziploc bag, zip it up, and use a rolling pin to just beat on the bag until these break all the way into pieces. Just a tip, The kids love getting to help with kitchen projects like that. Okay, I have my food processor with my S-blade on it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put these guys right on in there. Okay, so we're gonna get all of these guys into here, and you're gonna wanna go ahead and season this at a rate of 1 teaspoon of salt per about 4 cups of breadcrumbs. And there we have about 1 teaspoon of salt right there. And then about the same in your seasoning, whatever seasoning blend you want to use. And again, right now I'm using a garlic powder mixed with some Italian seasoning. It's gonna make it really good. And it's gonna be kind of that classic Italian breadcrumb flavor. So it's gonna go with most things. But if you check out the link in the description, I'll have different seasonings for you in that PDF with the directions on how to do this project. And this again is about 1 teaspoon of seasoning per 4 cups of bread here. And you know, a loose estimate is absolutely fine. Don't get too caught up in it. It's a little hard to tell when they're in big chunks like that. So this is gonna make kind of a mild flavored seasoning. If you're looking for something that really has a lot of pop and flavor to it, you may wanna double the seasoning. All right, and if you really want your seasoning to just stand out as amazingly good, go ahead and add about 1 teaspoon of sugar to that. Now, I tend to stay away from that because I don't like adding the added sugar, and it turns out great without it, but I gotta say, a little bit of that sugar does give it a nice pop. Okay, now this machine's too loud for the video, so I'm just gonna step out of the way and go zip this up until it resembles a coarse sand. All right, now that took exactly 15 seconds in my food processor, and we have these beautiful breadcrumbs. It does not matter that you had crusts in there, that you had the bread edges, it just makes these more toothsome and delicious. And oh, the smell is just amazing. So as always, a good cook needs to test. Absolutely delicious. Now, if you want to use these for meatloaf or meatballs, these are just going to go right in there so well. It's going to be so good. For breading any meat before you cook it, they're going to be just delicious, and you're going to be amazed at how good these are. You are not going to ever be able to go back to the store-bought version. Plus, you know exactly what is in this. There's no preservatives, there's no chemicals of any sort, there's nothing you can't pronounce, and there's nothing that isn't incredibly healthy for you right in here. Now, to store these for long term, if you want to make a big batch of these and store them, it's best to go ahead and stick them in an airtight container and put them either in the refrigerator or the freezer. They'll, of course, last longer in the freezer. And that will keep this nice, bright flavor. They'll last in there really well for at least 2 months. And then after that, of course, they don't go bad. They're not going to get bad for you or dangerous, as in unhealthy. They're just going to lose the good flavor and maybe take on a little bit of freezer flavor. So make up a nice batch of these with all those pieces of bread you've been saving and enjoy your homemade breadcrumbs.